The recent signing of government funding legislation represents a pivotal moment in Washington's fiscal landscape, marking the conclusion of a particularly contentious congressional battle that exposed deep fissures within the Democratic Party. This comprehensive funding package, which will keep the government operational through September, came after intense negotiations and political maneuvering that tested party loyalties and strategic calculations on both sides of the aisle. The legislation maintains much of the funding structure established during the Biden administration, though with several strategic adjustments that reflect current political priorities. Specifically, the package implements a reduction of approximately $13 billion in non-defense spending while simultaneously increasing defense spending by $6 billion. These modifications, while significant in absolute terms, represent relatively modest adjustments within the context of the massive $1.7 trillion total spending package. This careful balancing act demonstrates the delicate nature of budget negotiations in a divided government. The Senate's approval process proved especially dramatic, with the final 54-46 vote highlighting significant party line divisions. Perhaps most notably, 10 members of the Senate Democratic caucus broke ranks to support the bill's advancement, despite vocal opposition from their House colleagues. This internal Democratic conflict underscored the complex political calculations facing legislators, particularly in an election year where government stability and fiscal responsibility are key campaign issues. The debate within Democratic ranks was particularly heated, with House Democrats strongly urging their Senate counterparts to reject the bill outright. Their concerns centered on several critical issues, including what they viewed as inadequate funding for healthcare initiatives, housing programs, and other domestic priorities. Additionally, Democrats expressed serious reservations about the broad authority granted to the Trump administration to redirect federal spending, particularly given the aggressive actions of the Department of Government Efficiency in dismantling established agencies and programs. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer's position on the matter reflected the difficult choice facing his caucus. In his public statements, he emphasized the potentially devastating consequences of a government shutdown, arguing that such an outcome would grant the Trump administration unprecedented power to designate entire agencies and programs as non-essential. This could result in widespread staff furloughs with no guarantee of future reinstatement. Schumer's stark warning that a shutdown will allow DOGE to shift into overdrive and that Donald Trump and Elon Musk would be free to destroy vital government services at a much faster rate encapsulated the Democrats' primary concerns about the potential ramifications of failed negotiations. The successful passage of the funding bill through the House earlier in the week marked a significant victory for both President Trump and House Speaker Mike Johnson. Their ability to maintain Republican unity and secure passage without Democratic support represents a rare achievement in modern congressional politics, where major funding measures typically require bipartisan cooperation. This success demonstrates Johnson's growing effectiveness in managing his caucus and advancing the Republican agenda. The final signing of the legislation by President Trump, confirmed via social media by White House Principal Deputy Press Secretary Harrison Fields, brings this chapter of fiscal politics to a close. However, the implications of these funding decisions will continue to reverberate through government operations and political relationships for months to come. The compromise solution, while averting an immediate crisis, has highlighted fundamental differences in how the two parties approach government funding and administrative authority. This funding resolution reflects broader tensions in American governance, particularly regarding the balance of power between executive and legislative branches. It also underscores the ongoing struggle between maintaining essential government services and implementing fiscal constraints. The compromise, while functional, has exposed deep ideological and practical divisions within Congress, especially among Democrats wrestling with their role in opposition. The passage of this funding package demonstrates the complex interplay between political necessity and ideological principles in contemporary American governance. While the immediate threat of a government shutdown has been averted, the underlying tensions and conflicts that characterize this funding debate remain unresolved. These fundamental disagreements about the role and scope of federal government, appropriate spending levels, and executive authority will likely continue to shape future budget negotiations and political discourse. The resolution's impact extends beyond immediate fiscal considerations, touching on fundamental questions about democratic governance and institutional stability. The ability of Congress to reach agreement, even in the face of significant internal opposition, suggests that pragmatic considerations can still prevail over ideological purity in moments of potential crisis. However, the partisan nature of the final vote and the deep divisions it revealed within the Democratic Party indicate that future funding battles may be equally, if not more, contentious. This funding legislation also highlights the evolving dynamics of congressional leadership and party discipline. The success of House Speaker Johnson in maintaining Republican unity, particularly on such a crucial vote, suggests a potentially significant shift in House Republican cohesion. Similarly, the willingness of some Senate Democrats to break with their House colleagues indicates the complex calculations that individual legislators must make when balancing party loyalty against practical governance concerns.